Well, good afternoon, everybody. Rich Mavrogeanes here. Welcome to our webinar. Today's topic is going to be healthcare. So our system, the DiscoverVideo DEVOS system, is used in healthcare quite extensively. And this webinar will go over some of the reasons why it's become so popular and talk a little bit about some applications that hopefully you will find interesting as well. So let's get started. First, a little bit about DiscoverVideo. Here's our agenda. We'll talk about some healthcare applications, grand rounds, clinical assessment skills, assessing clinical skills. We could also talk about graduation and events, and then digital signage, and a few other topics. So that's our agenda for today. First, a little bit about DiscoverVideo. We've been around for almost a decade now, and we're part of the streaming industry, the multimedia industry, since the founding of the industry. We're very happy that we've been named one of the 500 fastest growing companies in the United States. So we're doing pretty well and have an extensive customer base. Hopefully you'll join that customer base. We have a huge community. So our community consists of thousands of viewers, hundreds and hundreds of organizations. There's thousands of encoders out there, thousands of digital signage players doing all sorts of different things. And we'll focus today on a few specific healthcare organizations and what they do, at least in a generic way. Brigham and Women's Health in the Boston area. You got Cardinal Health in the Midwest and the Ohio area. And then we have Prairie View A&M University. They're also doing some of the clinical assessment skills that we'll go over today. Okay? So DiscoverVideo focuses on 6 application areas. Now, as a healthcare provider, you're also a corporation. So while you may be interested in the specifics of healthcare, the system that we're going to describe is used in a more corporate, generalized environment. For example, HR resources for delivering benefit information and so on. But we focus on 6 areas. Broadcast, that's a one-to-many broadcast. It's maybe a grand rounds broadcast or a CEO town hall meeting broadcast. Training and education. Now in healthcare, that's a key component, of course, because keeping up on the latest information in healthcare is pretty difficult. And streaming and creating your own content is very easy with the system, and we'll show you how that works. Television distribution. So this is just distributing ABC, CBS, NBC, cable news, CNN, Bloomberg Financial, whatever you like, both the desktop as well as TVs around a campus network. So TV distribution is part of the proposition, as is digital signage. Digital signage, as the name implies, is the displaying of news and information, video, textual, images, whatever you like, on displays around a campus. An unlimited number of displays around the campus, in fact. We also focus on multimedia, and we're going to see in the clinical assessment a good example of multimedia, but it could be synchronized PowerPoint, it could be just the recording of lectures with PowerPoint or desktop capture and so on. And then there's the open government initiative, making sure that public information is truly public. So those are the areas that we really focus on. Now, we're not going to get too technical today, but it's important for you to understand a basic workflow, right? Then we'll get into what some of the products and how to go about this. But in general, streaming is simply taking a live video source, an audio video source, in this case, a camera, connecting it up to an encoder. The encoder then digitizes that content, compresses it, sends it to a server, and that server could be a big old server in the sky, what we would call a cloud service, or it could be a server that's on your premise. And we can talk about why you might choose a premise versus a cloud or a hybrid both, right? You get the best of both worlds. And then, of course, how do you view the content? You view the content on your cell phone, your desktop, and on other devices. So if we were to drill down just a little bit more and look at a DiscoverVideo system architecture, whether it's for a healthcare or a more general purpose application, the picture looks pretty much like this. So on the left, you've got desktops delivering live video. It could be a lecture capture. It could be just you, like I'm doing, sitting in front of a camera and microphone, recording something or streaming it live. You've got encoders for cable TV or live TV distribution. Importantly, you have mobile encoders, an iPhone, an iPad, allowing you to stream live from virtually anywhere. As you'll see in a moment, that could be really useful for mobile grand rounds. Then you have other encoders, even third-party encoders, that send live video or video on demand to the DEVOS server. The DEVOS server is the heart of the system. It's going to capture, stream, record, and do all the functions that we're going to talk about in just a second. And then that delivers it to the viewers. And the viewers could be mobile, could be desktop, Safari, Windows, Mac, Chrome, IE, whatever browser you like. But you also have set-top boxes. You don't always want to view the video on a computer. Maybe you want to view it on an inexpensive set-top box with a remote control. That could be our set-top box, could be a Roku device. And then, of course, for digital signage, we have a little device called SignStick, which you can deploy throughout an enterprise, and it will deliver both live and on-demand digital signage content really simply and easily. Just plug it in, and you're pretty much good to go. So that's the system architecture that we're talking about. And let's quickly think about and talk about what are the applications. So you got this DEVOS server. What's inside it? What is it going to do for me? Well, it's got a lot of functions, and it's a little bit of an eye chart here, and I'm not going to dwell on this too much, but within the system is the ability to do video on demand, upload content, you can measure it, people can view it, you can even do testing within that VOD content. Live video distribution, as we talked about, whether it's from a StreamZ encoder, from your iPhone, your iPad, whatever, live video distribution. TV distribution, including a channel guide. You want to know what's on, channel 101 at 2 o'clock? No problem. There's your channel guide. Click on it. It can even record the TV program for you. Digital signage, unlimited digital signage is built into the system. The presentation or multimedia capability, which is great for training, education. This is a presentation capability you're watching right now. Priority alert is built into the system. That allows you to touch a button and cause one, some, or all of your digital signage displays to change to some priority message, or even to have desktops open up and show a priority alert video or message just at the touch of a button, even without user action. So great for lockdowns, weather emergencies, and so on. Podcasting is part of the proposition, so content can be portable. And then we have what we call the Internet of Things, IoT control. Well, IoT control says that within the system you can schedule events. Maybe you want to turn a TV on or off, or turn all of the TVs on at 8 a.m. and turn them off at 5 p.m., or schedule various events and things to be controlled. So that's all built into the system, as is a learning path, which allows you to assemble videos into a path which can branch. If you got a 80%, you can continue. If you got a 60%, maybe you have to take a remedial course. So that's all built into the system. And of course, this is all organized into searchable channels, and it supports clustering and backup, so it's highly scalable, highly reliable, and of course, conditional access. When you log into the system, you want to use your Active Directory credentials, your corporate credentials, or perhaps you just want to use a local login. The system supports all of that conditional access capability. So those are the basic capabilities of the system that we're talking about. Now let's put it to work. Let's figure out some of the things that we want to do, particularly in healthcare. So, as I mentioned, in healthcare, you have many stakeholders. You have many departments. The fact that you're healthcare certainly means that you have clinicians, physicians, nurses. You have various departments that are unique to healthcare, but you also have departments that are common throughout all organizations, human resources, facilities, security, so on and so forth. So you can have a very large number of stakeholders, and they all can use the system in a way that's appropriate for them. Of course, today we're going to focus on the unique capabilities for healthcare. The other observation I would make, particularly in healthcare, is that requirements change all the time. There's a need for constant refresh of skills and information. People come and go, but also so do the standards for care. And you also have concerns about compliance. So how do you know that everybody has been trained on a particular procedure or particular policy? Well, the DEVOS system will allow you to actually measure skills if somebody has been trained, if they've actually viewed a video. So those are some of the top level topics about healthcare that I wanted to talk about. One of the more popular healthcare initiatives for streaming for a system like a DEVOS system is Grand Rounds. And Grand Rounds is not unlike lecture capture, which you would find in a university or a primary school. But of course, it's done daily. In the case of, for example, Brigham and Women's, I believe they do it several times a day. And this is a location, maybe an auditorium or a fixed location, where physicians talk about the latest standards, the latest results, and that is broadcast live throughout the campus, and people can view it on their cell phones or their desktops, but it's authenticated, so security need not be a concern, right? Security is supported within this. So you can capture it just like you would any lecture. The capture could be just a camera and microphone, right, aimed at a presenter, or like I'm doing, it could be including some images, some PowerPoint, or the desktop of the person giving the presentation. And then after it's recorded, or if it's streamed live or recorded or both, it's made available for on-demand viewing, and before you know it, you've assembled quite a library where you can put tags and categorize the content, organize it into channels to make it easy for people to find. So that's Grand Rounds in a fixed environment. Well, some Grand Rounds are mobile. As we've seen in some organizations, yeah, they might have the lecture capture kind of Grand Rounds where people come into an auditorium, but maybe you want to do the Grand Rounds mobile. That is to say, a physician might travel from room to room and have some students with them, and you want that to be available. Well, you can stream that live right from your cell phone using our StreamZ for iOS. You can use an iPad, an iPhone. You can stream it live, or you can press a button and record it. And after you record it, right from your cell phone, it'll automatically be uploaded and published for video on demand viewing. So you do have Grand Rounds fixed, you have Grand Round live. Now, that it's mobile, that you could do it from a cell phone is kind of interesting. It doesn't have to be Grand Rounds. That's something the hospital administrator or the HR department can do for their purposes as well. But some of our customers are doing Grand Rounds fixed, and some of them are doing mobile. Now let's talk a little bit about something that's pretty novel, which is clinical assessment. So clinical assessment is a case where you have a instrumented facility, a room. It could be, we've seen it in an operating theater, but we've also seen it in just a sort of a clinic room, right? And here you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different cameras, maybe at different views. Maybe what you want to do is assess how a student is interacting with a pseudo patient, right, as part of a training exercise. And it's one thing to provide feedback to that student. It's a whole other thing for that student to actually see how they've behaved and see what they've done. And of course, you might want to record that and then annotate the result and make sure the student can see that. Maybe even add that into the student's channel so they have a collection of their progress. So clinical assessment. Let's take a look at, I'll give you an example here of clinical assessment. So I can move over here. Here we go. Let's take a look at an example here. So in this particular example, unfortunately or fortunately, I've recorded something, but I'm not recording 4 different cameras of a clinic. We don't have the permission, right, for privacy reasons. So instead, I recorded, instead of 4 cameras, I've recorded 4 TV channels. The point is the same, that you have here 4 different video sources that have been recorded as they unfold live. Now, if I were to view this live, it would look very, very similar. But here I can play these videos, and they stay in synchronization. I can move around, and you can see the result. And maybe you decide that this video is pretty interesting, and I'll take this video and maybe resize it, make it big, make it small, move it around. I'll play that again. Right, so you have sort of a Socratic method here where you can decide, or the viewer can decide, what's important to them, what they want to see, and how they want their layout to occur. So you can build this any way that you want, right? And you could have 1, 2, 3, 4 different videos. Keep in mind, these videos could be camera 1, camera 2, and maybe video 3 is the monitor, right? The respiratory monitor or the instrumentation in that particular clinic room, because we can take an HDMI feed, a VGA, DVI, right? You can take a feed directly from, you know, virtually anything that has a video output. So that's one example of clinical assessment done both live, and here it's been recorded. Another example, we might look at something like this. Now, here is not a clinical assessment example, but maybe this is an example for a grand rounds recording. You could record it the way I'm doing. As you can see, I have a picture-in-picture here. Here, let's go like this. There, right? So there's me full screen. But I can move this around as a picture-in-picture, or as I'm doing here on my desktop, I may have recorded this as 2 independent videos, in which case, once again, I can move this around, decide what sort of layout I want. Maybe you want to see those people. They're not really important. What's important is what they're saying. So let's move that like that, and it all stays in synchronization as I play it back, right? So you have the multi-view capability for clinical assessment, for lecture capture, or for multiple purposes. Point is, it lends itself really well to the whole clinical assessment capability. All right, so that's clinical assessment. Let's continue here. There we go. Okay, so as I said, you have an adjustable player that you can view up to 4 videos in one player. A typical setup, this might be something like what's done at A&M University. There's a number of other customers that have something very, very similar. So you have a layout of a clinic, clinics of examination rooms, if you will, that are for training. And each room is outfitted with several cameras, usually 2, but sometimes 3, but as I said, it could be as many as 4, right? One of them might be an instrumentation readout, if you like. So each room is outfitted like that. Sessions are done on the fly. So, you know, the student, the person being assessed, goes into the room. They begin their procedure. The whole thing is recorded, streamed live so that others can watch that if you wish, with appropriate permissions. And sessions are recorded, and then afterward the student and the staff can do what is often called an after-action review. Let's view what has just transpired. They can then make comments, they can do chat, they can even do online polling in real time as part of the setup. So this is a very common setup to have multiple rooms set up like this. By the way, because of the advanced scheduling capability in the DEVOS system, you can also schedule this to occur in advance. So if you want room number 3 to automatically start recording a session at 2 o'clock and stop at 3 o'clock, great. It'll do that for you as well. So you can schedule it as well as doing it on the fly. Now, as I mentioned, I think probably several times now, healthcare organizations simply need better communications. We all need better communications, healthcare in particular. So each department can do their own thing. So it's very common for organizations to get into a system like this for clinical assessment, for grand rounds, but suddenly the HR department now records or publishes video about their benefits package to all employees. And the digital signage is discovered as a terrific way of putting information kiosks or just information displays in common areas for the public, for the lobbies, but also hallway intersections and other places where you want information to be displayed that you can centrally manage and control with great ease. That's one of the important capabilities of the system, is pretty easy to use. So that's it. That's our webinar about healthcare. I wonder if we have any questions from the audience.
First question.
Yeah.
Video quality. Talk about what are we able to do in terms of the quality of the video?
Question is, what are we able to do in terms of the quality of the video? Well, so it's up to you. The quality of the video could range from standard definition, low bit rate video, which may be appropriate for people on their cell phone, when you're streaming to the other side of the world and people don't even have 4G service, right? They have some very lightweight service. You can still service them to the highest quality HD video, 1080p video that you would like. You could also upload 4K video and record 4K videos if you like. So there's a wide range. I think the best answer is that it's what the user expects. It's the same quality that you would get on your TV stations or on Netflix or Hulu or popular streaming services. I would comment that because this is going to operate over your network, your IT staff is interested in the behavior that it's not consuming too much bandwidth and taking down vital services. Well, the system has great network citizenship, but there's no need to stream at, crazy high bit rates if it's just a talking head. So generally speaking, most of this content is in the 1 to 2 megabit range. It could be 20 meg, but most of it's in the 1 to 2 megabit range, sometimes even lower, to get some very high quality HD video. So good question.
Okay, second question. In terms of security, how secure is the system?
Yeah, so the question is about security. Is the system secure? How secure is it? So security is always tough, right? Because the people in charge of IT are charged with trusting people that they fundamentally don't trust. So there's always a tension there. So the system uses conditional access. So in order to log into the system, you would have to have appropriate credential. So that's answer number 1. And those credentials could give them access to some things and not to others. So you have very granular permissions control. Each piece of content could, in addition, have an independent password. The content is delivered in encrypted fashion using what's called SSL, right? So, HTTPS. So the content delivery is going to be very difficult to hijack, right, for sniffing the network. So it's as secure as you wish to make it, using relatively conventional web technologies from an IT point of view, and we know how to secure that sufficiently. I don't know that we would say that that the system is HIPAA compliant, because we view HIPAA compliance as a behavior. So you can configure the system and your behaviors can use the system consistent with HIPAA, right? So it's sufficiently secure and in some cases highly secure. So another good question. Anything else?
Last question.
Yeah.
How do we get a demonstration of the system?
How do you get a demonstration of the system? Well, it's easy. Here, am I in the way here? So let me move this out of the way so you can see. That's how you do it. So just give a call, 203-626-5267. Better send an email. Don't use fax. We hate fax. Send an email. You can send an email to sales@discovervideo.com or to info@discovervideo.com. We are represented around the country through selected systems integrators who can arrange for a demonstration, or just give us a call. We'll talk you through it and even give you an online demonstration and even arrange for an evaluation system online if you wish. Okay? So that is it for our webinar. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.